What is tech recruitment in a nutshell?
In a very surface level overview, it is finding engineers, not even necessarily engineers. So whether it's people within the product space or the UX space, or the engineering side, whether it's back end, front end, DevOps, even when it comes to infrastructure and more cloud focused, it encompasses all of those areas, and ultimately it's linking those candidates with the businesses which are looking for them. And a lot of the time businesses can't find the talent, or they are finding the talent and are just not able to, as we say, close them off to join a business because there are so many external factors. So we kind of plug the gap, or that's what we're supposed to do anyway.
Yeah.
That's what I try and do.
What's the difference between a good recruiter and a bad recruiter?
To be honest with you, that's really easy. A good recruiter really cares about what he or she does.
Yeah.
A bad recruiter doesn't care.
Yeah.
Whether it's it's important to distinguish between motivations here. So if, for example, you have a recruiter that only cares about money, they will be a bad recruiter.
Sure.
If they're a recruiter that cares about their market because that will lead to money, that's a very different story completely.
Right.
So that's really the sticking point. So if you look at the recruiters that arrange meetups or try and contribute to meetups or really go out of the way to learn more about technology and what it is they're recruiting for, they'll naturally be better at their job.
So they're sort of going beyond what they're paid to do, but they're actually interested in the tech.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, there are a few companies and recruitment things that do that. They host meetups, and it's really great. And so okay. Now, one thing I've noticed is that there seems to be quite a lot of recruiters for the same job sometimes, and that for me as a developer really annoys me, because when I get emails about the same company 20 times, I'm like, what is going on there? Is the company disrespecting the recruiters and getting them to saturate the market, or is there's too many recruiters chasing the same jobs?
So it's slightly different in contract than it is to perm, but there are some overlaps. So the key thing here, or the reason why you'll get that, is because some companies don't trust recruiters.
Right.
And that lack of trust comes from a recruiter, for example, promising the world, saying, I can take care of all of your needs, and then not delivering. And then that affects, the business's deadlines in terms of their product releases, or just generally screws them in some way.
Yeah.
So some businesses think, rightly or wrongly, that the more recruiters they have recruiting for a position, the more candidates and the better quality they will get. When often it's actually the other way around, because obviously, like yourself, I would say you're fairly good at what you do, right?
Yeah.
Trying to be humble. I think you're a beast. And that's obviously going to put you off, and that's the catch-22. If you have one or two recruiters working on something, you're more likely to get decent engagement rather than being spammed with the same position. And with perm, it again is very similar. So with perm, it's just all about trying to find as many people as possible. But with myself, for example, I'll only work with companies exclusively, because I don't want this.
Right.
I don't want the aggro of another recruitment business who I don't know butchering this business, business I'm working with. So I can give you a recent example. So there was a business, so it's a fintech startup, a very, very recent example, where they were working with another agency, a very big agency, right?
Yeah.
So one where it's suited and booted culture, very, very high staff turnover, very KPI.
Yeah.
And they were working on the same role as me. And what they would do is they would find candidates on job boards, and obviously you get their email, and they would just bulk email all of them the exact same time.
Yeah.
They bulk email everyone at the same time with a sheet. And I don't know if anyone listening has ever got this, but it's a sheet, it's a questionnaire. And it was a sheet which was like, right, what is it you're looking for? What is your preferred tech stack? What salary do you want, or what money do you want?
Absolutely.
Have you seen it?
Despise
Have you seen it? Have you seen it?
Oh my, hundreds of them I've received over the years.
I honestly look at that and I just think, you absolute buffoons. Recruiters that do that are morons. But it happens so
Thanks
often.
for using your gentle language.
I'm holding back.
Tone down, I see you.
They are morons. But do you know what? That just comes down to two things. One, laziness, but two, the necessity of speed. So if there's one or more recruitment business on a roll, speed is of the essence. Very famous saying, but it's so true. So they think that sending that out will naturally get them interest. So to go back to the story, what they would also put in that sheet is a list of companies they're working with, right? Which in theory is what all candidates want. They want to see the business before they speak to a recruiter because it just saves time. Rather than spending 30 minutes speaking to someone on the phone to realise you hate the role, they just want to see what it is. But in doing so, they don't find out about the actual scope of the role or the business's context. So in this example, this is a fintech startup with 3 people in the whole business, very new. And the candidate went back and said, I'm not interested in this.
Yeah.
And they weren't interested because they just saw 3 people in the business. Like, what do I need from this? There's no security, there's no anything. What they didn't find out is their funding situation with the amount of roles they're looking for and their scaling capabilities. Yeah. So when I spoke to this candidate and I covered off this particular business, they said, no, I'm not interested in 3 people. I was like, yeah, but have you not heard the rest?
Yeah.
No, I was just sent a link. I was like, that's the problem. So it is tricky. With contract, obviously the role is the commodity, right? So contract recruiters will fight tooth and nail for every candidate. It's so bad. That's why I couldn't do contract myself. But it's a mixture of all of those reasons. So yeah, it very much is like a dog-eat-dog world, which is a shame. Recruiters don't work together, ever. They hate each other.